Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you may be. This is Stephen Townsend here on Grimace TV, and as promised last week, I am going to start vlogging a little bit more and talking a bit more about Canadian issues. Recently, the Conservative government of Canada has decided that it is going to make drastic cuts to refugee healthcare here in this country. Not going to. They now have made drastic cuts to refugee healthcare here in the country. On June 30th, they passed a bill that basically leaves refugees in this country without healthcare. And I don't know about you, but that's not the kind of Canada I want to live in. And I think we all need to start asking ourselves, what kind of Canada do we want to live in? One of the most recent things that happened was on this past weekend. Bashir Mohammed, a 17-year-old kid, former refugee, interrupted a barbecue being held by Jason Kenney, who is the immigration minister, who recently made these cuts to the Canadian healthcare. He stood up and started to attempt to make his speech, or not speech, but ask the healthcare minister a question when he was quickly pulled out by four men and then arrested by the police. Anyway, I think people like this are totally brave and need to be commended. Let's take a quick look at a clip when a doctor and medical student decided that they were going to interrupt Joe Oliver during a press conference. This one's pretty good.
Across Canada and the field of medical imaging worldwide.
Minister Oliver, doctors in this country will not remain silent in the face of the Conservative.
Well, I'll answer those questions after my announcement.
To the refugee health program.
I will be very happy to answer those questions after.
Of the most vulnerable members of our society, refugees who are coming from war-torn countries, fleeing hatred, fleeing crimes against humanity, and your government is about to cut the very essential medicines, the very essential services that these people require in order to continue living. This is not the legacy of Canada. This is not the kind of country that we want to live in. I am not alone. We have medical associations across this country, the CMA, the OMA. All of these organizations are denouncing your government's cuts to the interim federal health program. What do you have to say for yourself?
Perhaps we could give the minister the courtesy of finishing his remarks, and I'm sure
the minister will be disrupted from this point on. Members of the Conservative government will be disrupted from this point on by Canadian doctors across this country.
Do you want an answer to your question?
Please do.
Okay. The answer to the question is that our government believes, as most Canadians believe, that all Canadians should be given the same health care. And we do not believe that people who just arrived, recent refugees, should be given superior health care to that of Canadian residents and Canadian citizens. We are equalizing the health care so that everyone in this country is treated equally.
Minister, you well know that there are folks on Ontario Works who receive very similar benefits as refugees coming to this country. Refugees are coming to this country.
I've answered the question.
You are cutting off maternal benefits. A pregnant woman will not be able to get health care because of you. A pregnant woman. A diabetic will not be able to get insulin, will come into my emergency department with diabetic ketoacidosis. Okay, do you think that's going to save money for this country?
Also on July 12th, Dr. Doug Gruner interrupted the Minister of Sport when he was doing a press conference with some Olympic athletes. Love what he had to say here.
I'm more proud of each and every one of them, and I'm excited to be here with you. Yet another exciting announcement in celebration of our ever exciting athletes. Today, the Canadian Olympic Committee has revealed who has the honor of carrying
Dr. Doug Gruner at Gruner. I've also worked in the emergency room as well. So I've been a physician for almost 20 years. And I can tell you that as a doctor on the front lines of healthcare, that these refugees are going to be incredibly affected by these cuts. The minister has given three reasons why he's justifying these cuts. One is cost. The minister says it's going to save $20 million to the federal government. The problem is, as the cuts get implemented, it's going to force refugees to the emergency rooms. And what's happening is refugees' lives are at risk.
Do you feel like crashing your announcements is the only way to make your...
This is the only way to do it. We've been trying to get in touch with Jason Kenney since April 30th, since he's made the announcement. He's refusing to meet with us. He has thwarted every single opportunity to meet and discuss. When he came up with these cuts, he didn't consult healthcare practitioners at all, the ones that are on the front lines, the ones that have evidence to show that, you know, these cuts are absolutely ridiculous and are going to put the lives of refugees at risk.
So I guess it's time that we start asking ourselves, what kind of Canadians do we want to be? And what kind of country do we want to be shaped into? The Conservative government, in these actions with healthcare, with refugee status, in many other actions that we'll cover in other videos, but this one is focused on healthcare, is dismantling, I guess, the image and persona that many of us grew up in this country believing was like a great way to be, like a society that people could look up to and aspire to be like.